Hi, darling. We're reading A Course in Miracles in the text, chapter 4, section 1, paragraph 5. Every good teacher hopes to give his students so much of his own learning that they will one day no longer need him. This is the one true goal of the teacher. It is impossible to convince the ego of this because it goes against all of its own laws. But remember that laws are set up to protect the continuity of the system in which the lawmaker believes. Oh, we've got a little visitor that wanted to pop in. Hi, sweetheart. Laws are set up to protect the continuity of the system in which the lawmaker believes. It is natural for the ego to try to protect itself once you have made it. But it is not natural for you to want to obey its laws unless you believe them. The ego cannot make this choice because of the nature of its origin. You can because of the nature of yours. Egos can clash in any situation, but spirit cannot clash at all. If you perceive a teacher as merely a larger ego, you will be afraid because to enlarge an ego would be to increase anxiety about separation. I will teach with you and live with you if you will think with me, but my goal will always be to absolve you finally from the need for a teacher. This is the opposite of the ego-oriented teacher's goal. He is concerned with the effect of his ego on other egos and therefore interprets their interaction as a means of ego preservation. I would not be able to devote myself to teaching if I believe this, and you will not be a devoted teacher as long as you believe it. I am constantly being perceived as a teacher, either to be exalted or rejected, but I do not accept either perception for myself. Your worth is not established by teaching or learning. Your worth is established by God. So beautiful. As long as you dispute this, everything you do will be fearful, particularly any situation that lends itself to the belief in superiority and inferiority. Teachers must be patient and repeat their lessons until they are learned. I am willing to do this because I have no right to set your learning limits for you. Again, nothing you do or think or wish or make is necessary to establish your worth. This point is not debatable except in delusions. Your ego is never at stake because God did not create it. Your spirit is never at stake because he did. I'm going to read that again. That's so profound. Your ego is never at stake because God did not create it. And I'll pause here and say, and that means it's not real and it doesn't exist anyway. And your spirit is never at stake because he did. I'll pause and say, your spirit is not at stake because God loves you. We're told again and again in A Course in Miracles that you are still God's perfect son, perfect, whole, and complete, lacking nothing. Any confusion on this point is delusional, and no form of devotion is possible as long as this delusion lasts. The ego tries to exploit all situations into forms of praise for itself in order to overcome its doubts. It will remain doubtful as long as you believe in its existence. You who made it cannot trust it because in your right mind, you realize it is not real. The only sane solution is not to try to change reality, which is indeed a fearful attempt, but to accept it as it is. Wow. You are part of reality, which stands unchanged beyond the reach of your ego, but within easy reach of spirit. When you are afraid, be still and know that God is real, and you are his beloved son in whom he is well pleased. Do not let your ego dispute this, because the ego cannot know what is far beyond its reach, as you are. That's so beautiful and comforting. I'll just read a couple more sentences. God is not the author of fear. You are. You have chosen to create unlike him and have therefore made fear for yourself. You are not at peace because you are not fulfilling your function. God gave you a very lofty function that you are not meeting. Your ego has chosen to be afraid instead of meeting it. Wow. So we're told in A Course in Miracles that when we do awaken, we'll realize how ridiculous the ego and its thought system was. But when you're hostage to it, it just seems like common sense. Of course, we're all in competition. Of course, we're better than or worse than. But that's not how spirit sees things. I love that reminder that a true teacher's goal is for their students to not need them anymore. Because it's not about being superior or inferior, worse than, better than. It's just about paying it forward. When someone wakes up, the best they can do is just reach out and love and wake up few people around them. Oh my goodness. God is not the author of fear. We are. And of Course in Miracles teaches us how to undo that thought system, return to sanity, and choose happiness over being right. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. I'll see you soon. Mwah.